Kojo watched the Accra sunset bleed gold and crimson over the ocean, but the beauty offered no comfort. Ama, his fiancée, stood rigid by the window, clutching a silk scarf, a gift from his boss, Mr. Mensah. Her voice, usually warm like cocoa, was now sharp and final. "I can't do this anymore, Kojo. Your talent, it's just a dream. It pays no bills." He felt the sting of her dismissal more than the actual breakup. For 3 years, he'd poured his soul into his architectural studies and unique textile designs, yet she saw only his meager salary at Mensah Designs. Ama argued that Mr. Mensah, a wealthy construction mogul, represented a guaranteed future, one filled with the certainty of East Legon mansions and foreign holidays. "He sees you as a worker, Ama. He sees my designs as cheap decorations for his concrete boxes," Kojo retorted, feeling a weary exhaustion deep in his bones. Ama scoffed, dropping the scarf onto their small, worn sofa. "I can't do this anymore, Kojo. Your talent, it's just a dream. It pays no bills." He felt the sting of her dismissal more than the actual breakup. For 3 years, he'd poured his soul into his architectural studies and unique textile designs, yet she saw only his meager salary at Mensah Designs. Ama argued that Mr. Mensah, a wealthy construction mogul, represented a guaranteed future, one filled with the certainty of East Legon mansions and foreign holidays. The following Monday, the humiliation was complete. Mr. Mensah, a man whose smile never reached his cold, calculating eyes, summoned Kojo to his opulent office overlooking the city. The leather chair Kojo sat in felt like a judge's bench. Mr. Mensah began with faux sincerity. "Kojo, I regret to inform you that your position is being eliminated, restructuring." Kojo, however, saw the dark triumph in the older man's face, knowing Ama had already relocated to his plush life. Mensah offered a measly severance package, citing Kojo's recent distractions and lack of focus. "I'm sure you'll find the time off useful for your artistic pursuits," Mensah concluded, his tone dripping with condescension, a pointed jab at the textile design concepts Kojo had presented months prior. Concepts Mensah had rejected as unmarketable folklore. Kojo refused the meager check, his dignity being the only thing he had left. Walking out of the polished glass tower, Kojo realized his entire life had been dismantled by 2 people who valued profit over passion. He spent the next few weeks at home, staring at his discarded sketches of massive, complex woven installations inspired by traditional Ghanaian iconography. The eviction notice for his apartment arrived, forcing him to move back into the small, bustling family compound in Osu. It was here, surrounded by the culture Ama despised, that Kojo resolved to stop sketching dreams and start building a legacy that would dwarf Mensah's empire. His revenge would be purely artistic and undeniable. Back in his childhood neighborhood, Kojo transformed his small room into a workshop, pouring every ounce of his savings into raw materials, local fibers, rare dyes, and salvaged architectural components. He focused on his masterpiece, Sankafa's Ascent, a 10-meter-high woven tower integrating traditional symbols with modern tensile structure, intended for the global design stage. He knew it was a masterpiece, but the cost of international transport, installation, and exhibition fees at the highly exclusive Venice Biennale was prohibitive. His applications for grants failed universally. He was an unknown, his work too novel. Despair began to creep in, threatening to choke his ambition like creeping vines. Then a miracle arrived via email. A large, anonymous wire transfer hit his bank account, covering all the exhibition costs and providing a substantial working budget. The only communication was a cryptic, untraceable message from an account named Oba-Ama, Queen Mother, "Go forth, my son. The earth has weight, and your roots run deep. Show them what Ghana truly builds." Kojo was stunned. He tried to reply, to find the source, but the trail went cold instantly. He speculated for weeks. Was it a rich aunt, a secret admirer, or perhaps a rival of Mr. Mensa? He ultimately didn't care who it was. They had bought his freedom and his opportunity. Fueled by this mystery benefactor, Kojo worked relentlessly, weaving his destiny into the very threads of his colossal structure, preparing to launch his career onto the world stage. The opening day of the Venice Biennale changed Kojo's life instantly. Sankofa's Ascent was placed in the central pavilion, its intricate, sun-drenched facade dominating the space. Critics, initially skeptical of a structure made of woven fiber and steel, were captivated by its powerful message of cultural reclamation and architectural innovation. The structure wasn't just art. It was a statement. Photographs of the towering, symbolic installation went viral worldwide. Art bloggers deemed it the must-see piece of the year, while design magazines hailed Kojo as the revolutionary voice bridging traditional craft and modern engineering. His phone, dormant for months, exploded with notifications. Commission requests flooded in from Dubai, Tokyo, and London. Galleries offered exclusive representation. Kojo, overwhelmed but ecstatic, was no longer the laid-off junior architect, but Kojo Adam, the Golden Weaver. He secured a massive seven-figure contract for a permanent installation in a Silicon Valley tech park, finally achieving the financial success Ama had sought, but on his own terms and through his own vision. Back in Accra, in Mr. Mensa's ridiculously oversized penthouse, Ama clicked through the online gallery coverage, her face pale. Mr. Mensa, beside her, choked on his single malt, muttering about how that boy stole my design principles. Alma stared at Kojo's triumphant photo, a cold, sickening realization dawning. She had walked away from destiny for a comfortable cage. 5 years passed. Kojo's success only grew, solidifying into global fame. He established the Oba-Ama Institute for Architectural Textiles, based in Ghana, commissioning local artisans and creating sustainable jobs. Meanwhile, Ama's life with Mr. Mensa, now her husband, was showing fissures. Mensa's construction firm was struggling, having failed to adapt to the new, sustainable design trends Kojo pioneered. Mr. Mensa, desperate to cut costs and emulate Kojo's look, had begun implementing a cheaper version of Kojo's textile paneling in his luxury apartment towers. He had found Kojo's old, unverified design files on a dusty external hard drive and treated them as a blueprint. Ama, used to a life of flawless luxury, began to feel the pinch. The foreign holidays ceased, replaced by tense dinners where Mr. Mensa blamed market forces and stolen ideas for his woes. She attempted to contact Kojo repeatedly, emails to his business address, passive-aggressive comments on his old social media, all ignored. Kojo was preparing for his grand retrospective, Woven Future, which was set to open at Ghana's National Museum. Ama knew she had to see him. She believed the time was right. She was still glamorous, and Kojo, despite his fame, was surely still nursing the old wound. She began meticulously crafting a story of regret and destiny, preparing for the dramatic, public return she felt she was entitled to make at his biggest night in Accra. The National Museum was a buzz of global press and local dignitaries. Kojo, radiating calm confidence in an exquisite kente smoking jacket, stood center stage, receiving praise. Across the crowded hall, dressed in a sleek designer dress, Ama made her entrance with a noticeably aged and haggard Mr. Mensa. The mogul seemed preoccupied, continuously checking his phone and avoiding eye contact with Kojo. Ama, however, locked on to Kojo, her gaze burning with calculated desperation. She managed to peel away from her husband, weaving through the throng of admirers and finding Kojo near his signature piece, the weaver's triumph. "Kojo," she breathed, touching his arm, a touch he immediately neutralized by shifting to adjust a cufflink. "I had to see you. What you've achieved, it's magnificent. I made a terrible mistake, but I never stopped thinking of you. We belong together. This is destiny, Kojo." Her performance was flawless, polished over weeks of rehearsal. Kojo looked at her, his expression unreadable, a faint smile playing on his lips. "Ama," he said simply, his voice low and firm. "It's lovely that you came. I appreciate the sentiment. But the past is a beautiful, completed piece of art. It's not something you rehang." She was taken aback by his indifference. Just then, a tremor of panic rippled through the hall as Mensa's assistant frantically pulled him aside, gesturing towards a breaking news alert on a massive screen near the entrance. The news alert flashing across the screen was devastating. Mensa Design's luxury tower facing structural review after panel failure. Mr. Mensa visibly stumbled, sinking into a nearby chair, his face slick with panic. Ama, however, saw an opportunity amidst the chaos. She grabbed Kojo's hand and pulled him into a quiet alcove, her eyes wide and frantic. "Kojo, you have to help us. It's all crashing down. He used your old files. The textile paneling he's been using, the one that's failing, it's your design. The ones you showed him before you were laid off. He stole them, Kojo." This was the scandalous confession. Ama, desperate to save her comfortable life, was now throwing her own husband under the bus, using Kojo's stolen work as leverage to connect with him. She was admitting to his crime, hoping Kojo's residual affection would lead him to save their sinking ship. "He told me they were his own cheap adaptations," she whispered, clutching Kojo's arm. "But it was your work. Please, Kojo, you're the only one who can fix this now. You always kept the details in your head. Save the company and we can start over, properly this time." Ama, once so dismissive of his talent, now pleaded for it. The architect's revenge, a bitter pill she was only just starting to swallow. Kojo, watching her frantic, self-serving betrayal of Mensa, merely smiled wider, a smile devoid of any warmth. Kojo gently detached Ama's hand, the smile on his face growing into a chilling smirk. "Ama, do you really think I didn't know Mr. Mensa would try to steal those designs?" Ama froze, confusion warring with fear. Kojo leaned in, his voice a lethal whisper. "The version he stole, the one he found on the hard drive he took from my desk after firing me, had a specific flaw, a structural calculation error I intentionally embedded. It's an artistic signature, a passive-aggressive failure point built into the concept, designed to expose any greedy corporate theft. He didn't steal a blueprint. He stole a beautifully destructive booby trap. This was the shocking, meticulous revenge." Ama gasped, stepping back as the realization of Kojo's long-game malice hit her. But Kojo wasn't finished. "And about my success, Ama, you want to know who my anonymous investor, Oba-Ama, was?" He paused, looking past her shoulder. "It was the one person who always believed in me, who saw your true character, and who offered me the lifeline to escape your toxicity." He snapped his fingers. A young woman, strikingly beautiful and impeccably dressed, stepped out of the crowd. It was Akosua, Ama's younger sister. Akosua, Kojo's true partner, in business and in life, was the mysterious Queen Mother. Ama's jaw dropped in genuine shock. Akosua simply offered a confident, cool wave. "Welcome to the woven future, Ama," Kojo concluded, pulling Akosua close. Ama was publicly humiliated, stripped of her husband's wealth and her own sister's loyalty, watching her future dissolve into the glamorous arms of the man she had called a failure.